Don't be freaking out as you look at this. I'll tell you what you need to know. But starting at the top, the nervous system, one of the many different systems in our body, including digestive system and one we'll talk about later on in the semester called the cardiovascular system. This particular system coordinates everything that goes on in your body. Its main job is to maintain homeostasis. Homeostasis refers to the body's working at keeping everything the same: body temperature, water levels, oxygen levels. And by detecting changes in the environment called stimuli, the body reacts to maintain everything in its proper order. So say, for example, you're sitting inside in cool air conditioning and you go outside and it's 90 degrees. What happens? You start sweating. The change in the environment was the air temperature. And to keep the body at normal temperature, to maintain homeostasis, your body sweats. The stimuli or temperature change caused a change in the body to keep everything the same. Your body doesn't want to overheat because it can result in heat stroke and heat exhaustion. So your response to maintain homeostasis is sweating. Our nervous system coordinates two divisions: the central nervous system, which is made up of the spine and the brain, and it's found in the center of our body, and the peripheral nervous system, made up of the nerves outside the central nervous system. And there are two groups that make up the peripheral nervous system, what's called the somatic or voluntary nervous system, and the autonomic or involuntary nervous system, the ones we don't want to have to think about, like breathing, sending nerve impulses to take our hand off a burning stove. Those are involuntary activities. And those are the parts of the nervous system involved in the stress response. Now we can go on to talk about the physiology of stress, or how our body responds to stress. The two branches of the autonomic nervous system involved in controlling our body's involuntary activities are the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is in control during a relaxed state. It's involved in body processes like digestion, nerve impulse transmission, and helps conserve and replenish our body's energy after it's been responding to a particular stress. The sympathetic nervous system is what's in control during that stressful state. It's activated during the alarm phase of the general adaptation syndrome. It accelerates body processes and releases stores of energy so that you can combat that particular stress, whether it's real or perceived. Sympathetic response is referred to as fight or flight. The parasympathetic response is referred to as repair and repose. There's a chain reaction of specific hormones that are stimulated during the sympathetic response. It starts with an organ in the brain called the hypothalamus. This organ coordinates the body's response to stress by releasing hormones. One in particular, all I ask you to know is that it's called CRH, but I'll brag and tell you that it means the corticotropin releasing hormone. What this hormone does is cause other glands to release stress-related hormones. It sends a message to the pituitary gland to release a hormone called ACTH, and that sends a message to the adrenal medulla, which sits on the kidneys, to release adrenaline and noradrenaline, also known as epinephrine and norepinephrine. This is referred to the HPA axis: hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal medulla. The effects of adrenaline released during a stress response include increasing heart rate, dilating of pupils, you increase your visual field, constriction of arteries in the skin and the gut. You don't need to be digesting food while you're running from that perceived or real mastodon. Dilating arteries in the leg muscles so that you can have more blood flow to those muscles and you're able to run. Chronic stress may affect the immune system, particularly those with compromised immune systems, like the elderly, small infants and children, people with autoimmune diseases, and it makes you more susceptible to acute illnesses, If you have HIV, it may progress more rapidly to AIDS. And if you've ever had mono, it can reactivate the Epstein-Barr virus that causes mono. The impact of stress can impact your psychological and physical health. Psychological stress-related problems include, you can pause this and have a look at all those, because you know what? It's stressful to look at this list. We associate PTSD with our soldiers coming back from combat, and many of them do indeed suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. But exposure to any traumatic event, such as violent crime, natural catastrophes, or witnessing a violent death or crime of another person, can cause PTSD. What can happen is that the individual actually re-experiences that traumatic event, and it may cause them to avoid situations that remind them of that experience. It can lead to extreme emotional numbing, and they experience impaired functioning and significant emotional distress. These are all lingering psychological effects of exposure to extreme stress. Who gets stressed and why? Great question. Everyone's susceptible to stress, but people respond differently to different stressors. One person's stressor may have no effect on somebody else. There are different factors that affect the stress response that include personality type, type A and type B personality, mental and physical wellness. You feel more vulnerable when you don't feel well, and previous adverse experiences. Once that stressful situation is over, the relaxation response can kick in. And this involves the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, the repair and repose, to reverse and deactivate stress. The relaxation response goal is to restore homeostasis or calm. A stress response that occurs repeatedly or without sufficient relaxation response can cause significant health problems. What are some stress reduction strategies? I'll just give you a few and you can share yours with me. Exercise, nutrition, relaxation techniques like deep breathing, hypnotherapy, having a good social support system, time management, and adequate sleep can act as a buffer to help you with coping with stress. However, inadequate sleep can add to one's stress. One study suggests that 10% of adults suffer from persistent insomnia. I hate that.